My ex-girlfriend asked me to her wedding with the goal of humiliating me by showcasing her wealthy new boyfriend. So I brought a special guest as a plus one. And at the end of the night she was left crying since her marriage had ended. Despite her ranting, I remained calm and informed her that each guy has different needs. Ben certainly comes from a wealthy household. As a result, while he may not be as concerned with his profession as I am, I like mine. I also informed her that if she wanted a man like Ben, she should stay with him. I told her that we should stop arguing over it, and that she might leave as soon as possible. Her eyes widened as she inquired how I could afford rent. I told her that I had received a rise and was now able to pay the complete rent without having any roommates. When she heard this, she started shouting at me, accusing me of attempting to show off in front of her. She informed me how Ben was wealthier than me and even owned his own home, which his father had purchased for him. She kept telling me that I needed to change my phone and get complacent. She then sneered at me, claiming that at the end of the day, women preferred a house husband over a man who earned more than them. At this point, I told her to shut up since I was tired of battling with her in the middle of the night. I told her she had till the end of the month to move out and may sleep on the couch in the meantime. I could still hear her groaning, but I ignored her and returned to sleep. Fortunately, throughout the course of the week, Lily began to pack and gently transfer out her belongings. I was getting excited at the possibility of finally having this entire place to myself on her. Last night, when I returned home, I was surprised to see Lily and Ben sitting on our couch. I glanced at her strangely, and she told me that because it was her final night here, she wanted to show Ben where she lived. I couldn't believe she had the audacity to bring another man into this apartment without asking me, knowing I'd be back. I didn't want to be harsh to Ben since I felt it wasn't his fault, and I shouldn't be rude to a visitor. I respectfully greeted him. But to my amazement, he stared at me with scorn and did not acknowledge my existence. I chose not to take it personally and went to freshen up. Later, as I was cooking spaghetti for myself in the kitchen, Ben arrived to get some water. He stayed there observing me for a minute, making me feel weird. I inquired if he wanted anything, but he gave me the same scornful look as previously. I chose to ignore his presence and continue cooking so that I could take the meal back to my bedroom and eat in private. As I was about to walk downstairs, I overheard Lily and Ben conversing. Ben was telling Lily how fortunate she was to have upgraded herself after dating someone who resembled me. I froze in horror when I heard Lily laughing and agreeing with him. Ben then questioned why she had ever fallen in love with me. And that's when Lily said something that utterly devastated me. She said that she had used me since I was stupid enough to pay for our outings and lend her money in college. She even confessed that I had paid more than half of the rent for the past few years. This helped her to save a significant amount of money. I could not believe what I'd just heard. I had always assumed she was utilizing my good nature to pay more than half her rent, but I had no idea she had been doing so since the beginning. Then she went on to talk about our relationship and make fun of me in every manner. I was about to burst into tears from humiliation, but I didn't want them to see me like this. So I went back upstairs and spent the rest of the night quietly crying into my pillow. When I woke up the next morning, Lily and Ben had left. She had packed up her belongings and officially moved out. I strolled around the home in a fog, realizing that I was finally free of her. I can't express how relieved I was that she had finally left my life in this house. I cried tears of joy and danced around the house. Then I went about cleaning the entire place so that there was no trace of her anywhere. Over the next 3 weeks, I absolutely liked living alone. I'd stopped caring about what Lily and Ben said about me. Everything was going great until 2 months later, when a mutual buddy informed me at work that Lily was getting married to Ben. I was taken aback since everything felt so sudden. Our friends showed me their engagement photos, and they looked really happy together. While I felt a twinge of regret for how Lily had treated me all these years, I also realized that I would never be content with her regardless. So I was glad she had found someone who could make her happy. That same night, when I returned home and checked my mailbox, I discovered an unexpected wedding invitation. My eyes widened with surprise when I realized it was from Lily and Ben. I was starting to assume it was a mistake that she had asked me only as a politeness till I opened the invitation and noticed she had scribbled something in the corners. Inside the card, it said, "I want you to attend my wedding so you can see the wonderful life I'll have with Ben." It gradually became clear that she had asked me solely to show off her marriage, her wealthy partner and her sudden fortune. I took a long breath, trying to figure out why she would give me an invitation like this when all I had done was take care of her. Up the years, all of my pent-up rage and frustration boiled up, and I knew I had to be petty with her. I responded with one. I had a plan in my thoughts and was determined to make Lily regret inviting me. I opened my laptop and started going through Ben's social media sites. I went through every social media picture he had ever uploaded. As luck would have it, I eventually located what I was looking for. Ben split up with his ex-girlfriend Jessica only 6 months ago. He had multiple posts with her, and their images went back to high school, indicating that they had been together for quite some time. I sent Jessica a friend request on my profile, and she accepted. Then I messaged her. To my amazement, she responded, and we began talking. I was open with her about my identity as Lily's ex, and informed her of my intention to invite her as my one to their wedding. She appeared intrigued and curious about why I was contacting her, but I explained everything to her. Over the next few weeks, Jessica revealed that Ben had cheated on her several times, with his most recent affair being with Lily. This was news to me because I had no information about it. She went on to explain how Ben was always attracted to younger ladies. As a result, she wasn't astonished when he revealed that he was in love with Lily while they were still together. As you might imagine, they had a rather horrible split, and she had blocked him from everywhere, despite him imploring her that they should stay friends. From the way she spoke about Ben, it appeared like she was still in love with him. I also informed Jessica about my personal experience with Lily and how she had used me over the years. I poured my heart out to her, telling her what Lily had put me through and how Ben and Lily had made fun of me. Jessica was astonished to learn how Lily had handled and spoken about me. After hearing everything, Jessica agreed to follow me. I was excited thinking about how my ex and Ben reacted when they saw me attend their wedding with Jessica on the wedding day. As expected, Lily's eyes widened as she saw me enter with my special guest. She must have recognized Jessica as Ben's ex. We disregarded her reactions and pretended to locate our assigned seats. Lily approached me and angrily muttered, "Why are you here with Ben's ex?" I merely smiled. She couldn't make a scene in front of everyone and had to reluctantly walk back up to me, staring me fiercely. When it was time for the groom to enter, everyone stood up from their chairs. Ben looked gorgeous in his black tuxedo, walking down the aisle with his father on his side. The ceremony proceeded successfully, and the festivities moved to the reception area. Ben must have gone to change, as he was dressed differently when he approached the location. After seeing the wedding ceremony, Jessica and I kept a low profile throughout the reception. We chose to ignore Lily's angry stares and Ben's obvious dissatisfaction. I knew she wanted to confront us, but she couldn't afford to create a commotion at her own wedding. Meanwhile, I watched everything develop with inner delight, knowing that the influence of my presence was only beginning. When it came time for the toasts, Lily couldn't hold back any longer. She approached us while everyone was distracted, growled between gritted teeth, and forced a grin. "What are you both doing here? Do you truly believe you can destroy my wonderful day?" Jessica, with an equally sardonic smirk, responded. Before I could, "Oh, Lily dear, we're not here to ruin anything, we are here to celebrate. After all, it's such an important day, isn't it?" Lily was on the edge of losing her cool, but I cut her off before she could say anything that would draw attention from the guests. "Let us keep up appearances, Lily. You don't want your husband to know you're still smitten with me, right?" Her eyes flashed with wrath, but she turned on her heel and returned to Ben, who had no notion what was going on. Throughout the party, Jessica and I made an effort to appear to be having a good time, laughing together and sharing knowing glances. It was not totally an act. The reality is that, while this began as a revenge plot, I was actually starting to enjoy Jessica's company. She was clever and humorous. But most importantly, she understood what I had been through. Then something unexpected occurred. As we danced, I observed Ben approach Jessica. He appeared anxious. I soon noticed they were arguing in low tones. I came closer quietly and overheard Ben say something like, "Why are you here with him? It has nothing to do with you. We're done, remember?" Jessica gave a bitter laugh. "We broke up because you cheated on me, Ben. Remember? And now you expect me to care about who I socialize with." I just observed from a distance as Ben battled to maintain his cool. Jessica wasn't making things easy for him, and I could tell it was messing with his head. And that's when I decided to increase the heat. I grabbed a glass of champagne and approached the microphone that had been used for the toasts. Sorry for interrupting, everyone. I started with a smile on my face. All eyes turned to me, including Lily and Ben's, who were stunned. I simply wanted to thank the bride, Lily, for inviting me to this very memorable event. I paused, enjoying the tension in the air. For those who do not know me, I am her ex, and I am overjoyed to see that she has met a man who can provide her with the life she has always desired. Ben, congratulations on your acquisition. I mean your marriage. The room plunged into an uneasy stillness, with visitors exchanging uncertain looks. Lily looked like she was about to burst into tears while Ben clenched his hands, hardly restraining his rage. But I was not done yet. I'd also like to toast to honesty and transparency in a partnership. I lifted my drink and looked directly at Ben and Lily. May you never go without them like I did. Then I took a slow sip while smiling mockingly. At this moment, Ben was furious. He slammed down his glass and began storming at me, but a few mutual friends intervened to stop him before he could reach me. "You've crossed the boundary," he exclaimed, while I only smiled. "Do you think this is funny? You think you can simply come here and destroy our day?" I looked him in the eye, remained calm, and said, "Ben, I did not ruin anything. I'm only here to see what happens when you can't rely on someone's respect." As he battled against those who restrained him, Lily began to sob, tears flowing down her cheeks as she yelled at Ben, "Why are you paying attention to him? This is our day, not Ben's." But what came next was even more unexpected. Jessica, who had been silent by my side until now, moved forward and exclaimed loudly in front of everyone, "You know, Ben, you deserve this because I recall how you played with my emotions while you were already eyeing Lily." Her comments rang throughout the room. And suddenly, all of the guests were witnessing an unexpected spectacle. Ben was speechless and looked at Jessica with a mix of fury and amazement. Lily, overwhelmed with desperation, began shrieking, "I should never have invited you, you ungrateful jerk. I just wanted to show you that I am better off without you." I simply shrugged and replied, curious to see whether you truly were. "Apparently you still have something to prove to me." The venue security was approaching, but Jessica and I were already prepared to depart. As we headed toward the exit, I could hear Lily and Ben's shouts ringing down the corridor. The fairy tale wedding she had planned had gone horribly wrong, and in a way I felt gratified that I had given her a taste of what she had attempted to do to me. On our way out, Jessica turned to me and asked whether I thought we had gone too far. I chuckled quietly and added, "I believe we went as far as we needed to. In the days that followed, I heard stories that Ben and Lily had a big argument. Their marriage was already on the rocks. She was urgently trying to keep up appearances, but everyone knew their marriage had started on a bad note. And, while I was aware that this would most likely make me vengeful, I couldn't help but feel like, for the first time in a long time, I had received a feeling of justice." After the wedding scandal, Jessica and I departed the venue feeling accomplished. We continued on with our lives, but I couldn't help but wonder what would happen to Lily and Ben after their catastrophic night. And of course, the gossip quickly reached my ears through mutual friends who inadvertently piqued my interest. Things appeared tranquil in the days following the wedding, but I knew it was really a facade. Ben and Lily were trying to project a joyful image on social media by uploading smiling images and attending social events as if everything was wonderful. But I knew Lily well enough to realize that her smiling face had triggered a storm that was about to blow, and the storm hit faster and harder than I anticipated. I discovered that their honeymoon was a total disaster. Ben, who had been silent throughout the wedding controversy, erupted with rage as soon as their plane landed at the exotic resort they had picked. He couldn't get the humiliation of confronting Jessica and me out of his mind, the loser that he and Lily had so frequently mocked. They battled for virtually the entire trip. The tension was obvious at each dinner and outing. Ben accused Lily of inviting Jessica and me on purpose, while Lily cried. Trying to defend herself, she insisted that she only wanted to demonstrate that she had moved on. He branded her greedy, saying she only thought about herself, and couldn't comprehend how she could be so careless as to almost ruin her own name on their wedding day. When they returned from their trip, things were even worse. Ben, who first appeared unconcerned about money, began asking Lily to contribute more to their expenses as he dealt with the financial hardship of the lavish wedding and honeymoon. The passion and romanticism quickly faded, and each day came a new quarrel about money, who was contributing more, and their future plans. Then one day a mutual friend contacted, eager to give the most recent news. Lily had returned to live with her parents following a violent altercation in which the neighbors nearly called the cops. "You won't believe this," he continued, struggling to conceal his excitement. "They're practically separated, and from what I've heard, he kicked her out." I tried not to show too much interest, but I couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. Ben, the ideal wealthy man, was now alone in the house his father had purchased for him, while Lily was forced to return to the one location she had fought so hard to avoid, her parents' house. Without the financial independence she had gained over the years, while I paid more than half of her rent. A few weeks later, I discovered that Ben had dug upon old texts from Lily in which she discussed how she had utilized my generosity to save money when we were together. This was the last straw for him. "She used me exactly like she did you," he allegedly told one of their pals, who remained in touch with both of them. The embarrassment he felt at the wedding was now combined with the bitterness of learning that, in her eyes, he wasn't all that different from me. Ben felt betrayed, and Lily, realizing she couldn't restore the marriage, plunged into despair. Around that time, Lily attempted to contact me again. During first, she sent basic messages, as if she wanted to clarify what transpired during the wedding. Then followed the phone calls, one after the other, and she cried. She said she didn't know what to do because Ben had left her with nothing. I ignored every effort, blocking each new phone she used to contact me. I'd already done my part. She had used me, humiliated me, and attempted to step on me, but now she was sinking on her own. One day, as I was leaving work, I ran into Jessica and we ended up meeting for coffee together. She was always aware of the most recent information before I was. "Have you heard that Ben has listed the house for sale?" she inquired with a wicked smirk. "It appears that things did not go as he had planned. His parents are also apparently dissatisfied with how he handled the situation. I believe he's lost their financial backing." I couldn't help laughing. The great Ben, who had appeared impenetrable in his privileged position, was now attempting to sell the property he had used to dazzle Lily. I knew his demise was not totally my fault, but I couldn't help but feel that my attendance at that wedding was the flame that ignited everything that followed. After a few months, Lily ceased contacting me. She seems to have decided there was nothing else she could do for me. And as for me, I was thoroughly enjoying my new life. My job was going well, and living alone was exactly what I needed to start again. Jessica sent me a message one night when I was watching a movie. She had stumbled across a lengthy social media message from Lily on learning from mistakes and the significance of appreciating those who stand by your side. It was plainly a message of sadness for what she had lost, an attempt to portray oneself as a victim. After all she has done. I simply laughed and said to Jessica, some people never change. And deep down, I knew that even if Lily tried to rewrite her version of the narrative, I'd come out ahead. She attempted to embarrass me, but she ended up plunging into her own arrogance. Ben, who had entered her life as the great prize, had served as a continuous reminder that appearances are fleeting. And as for me, I moved on, free of the weight of both of them, knowing that the finest vengeance was watching their relationship fail without me doing anything more than accepting that invitation.